listening to the No Invite Podcast. Yeah.
Season 4. The process.
Bang, we're here. And it is now, and it's official, another dope podcast, jumping off episode 133 of the No Invite Podcast. You got me, your boy, you already know who I am. We have our special guests and returning guests. Introduce yourself for everybody, even though they should already know you. Bundy from Dope Flavors.
Oh, me first? All right, Bundy from Dope Flavors. Good to be back.
Well, see, Ann is a host, so she comes and goes as she wants to because she's definitely a rich person. Shit. So, you know what I mean? She's don't let her fool you, you know what I mean? She got dough, you feel me? Ann's a millionaire along with producer Patty. And they be doing like that secret billionaire or secret boss shit, undercover boss, where they just like want to mingle amongst the poor folks. But they you know what I mean? Like, you know, just check out, like they keeps them grounded when they, you know, when you're a billionaire like they are, you know what I'm saying? But see, they're the good billionaires though, so, you know what I'm saying? But
I wish that was my circumstances. It will be soon though.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. Put it in the air then. All right, so we're back in the building. We got the best kept secret. How you doing?
I am doing amazing.
Amazing. That's what I like to hear. It is another week, and we definitely are going to give you guys an episode that only I believe that me and Bundy could give y'all. And then we got Ann. This is going to be the first time that you're actually on an episode with him, I believe, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're about to take you down the rabbit hole, Ann. So that's what I said, get your seatbelt. Maybe you might want to grab a blanket. You know, you might need a blanket for this one. You definitely, you might even need a drink. You know, we might take a break. You never know, because this is some heavy shit we talk about. And it's just what's out there, you know, which like how we were saying, you know, it's not, people want to label things a certain way to be negative. It's not that. It's what you call being somebody that's seeking the truth, because there's a lot of bullshit out there. You know, if we're going with mainstream anything nowadays, a lot of it is bullshit, and it's aimed really just to either keep you in perpetual fear or fight or flight mode, or to, and what's it called, get your money. You dig what I'm saying? Get your money at the end of the day. Like we was talking about, and we're gonna jump into that as well. They want your money. They don't care about what's the truth as much as that. I mean, they'll give you some truth here and there, you know, and they'll give you a lot of bullshit fluff with it, or they'll spin the truth. So with this, like, we're not spinning nothing. We're just coming at y'all live as fuck. What we're gonna do in this episode is talk about and discuss some of these topics, and just, you know, spread the word. What we heard, you feel me? For when it comes to this shit, what's our opinion on it? If so, some of this stuff might seem unbelievable to y'all for anyone that doesn't know or bother to or even care, because some people don't care. Let's keep it real. Some people don't care about these issues or topics, even if they affect their life every day. You know, and that's okay too. I mean, that's your choice. You know, it's like the Matrix.
I think some of that is because they may not be able to control it. So it's almost like, what's the point in putting a whole lot of energy into something I have absolutely no control over?
Most definitely, but see, at the end of the day, though, you really do have some control over it, because we were talking about that earlier. We'll make that point, but your dollar and your money matters. You know, where you put your money matters, and if you and your community could find a way to all put your money where it matters, then you have say so. You know, we got to look at this country for the basis and what it is and how it was founded. It is, what do you call that? It's supposed to be a democracy, I guess, but it's also a capitalist society. The whole idea about out here and the fundamentals behind it was to make money. And I think that when they created all of these stuff that it was in mind, they kind of, I don't know if they knew how fast or how big the country would get. You dig what I'm saying? But for better or worse, those are the laws that and how they were constructed, and this is the country that we live in, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of shit, you know, we're gonna talk about, but we're gonna go ahead and kick it off since we're talking about the country and everything else. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody here has been watching news and sees what's going on. We have people announcing their presidential run. We're obviously closing in on an election year. So if you think it's hot now with the bullshit, you know, back and forth and they're shooting and all the crazy shit and all the misdirection and everything else, yeah, might as well get ready, because, you know, oh, look, they're overemphasizing certain things at election times. You know, when I was locked up, and I'm sure you know about this, they would tell you around election, don't get locked up and catch a case and have to fight it during election times, because they try to pad their numbers. So they're really trying to knock your ass down. You feel what I'm saying? Or even if they just give you like a sweet bullshit deal, like, oh, listen, take this little time and we're just going to slide these 2 strikes on you or something. They'll do shit like that to get their stats up for these election years, so they could show that, hey, my district is running good. You know what I'm saying? We're doing numbers. My section is this. You dig what I'm saying? So, that's something.
And we was disenfranchised. Like, they took away our voting rights. So in the state of California, and pretty much in the majority of other states in the nation, there's a lot of people that are formerly incarcerated that still don't got their voting rights.
Yeah.
But in California, you could be on parole, you could be on probation, and you could vote now. I think as of recently, within the last 5 years. But that's a major form of disenfranchisement.
Yeah, so, most definitely.
We didn't have that right for the longest in this state until as of within the last decade. Yeah,
and once again, if they know that, and then we know that, it has to be a point where we make things, our stances and our opinions, make them benefit ourselves, because obviously we got chips stacked against us as people. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But the presidential race is in effect. Who is it this week? I know I seen DeSantis for it's mainly Republicans announcing, right? I haven't heard too many Democrats
it's just gonna be Biden. He's running for the Democratic Party. Nobody's really challenging him. He's got all
which is insane. Insane, right?
It's insane, but when you got all the political and corporate powers backing you, and you're pretty much a robot, you can't find your way off stage.
Having this it looked like, you ever seen that episode of The Simpsons where Homer smokes weed and he laughs at all of the what's it called, Mr. Burns jokes. So at the end of the day, you seen that one, right?
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, Mr. Burns comes out like a puppet and shit. They try to make him seem like he's alive, but he really died. That's how when I look at Biden, that's how I feel like sometimes. I'm like, bro, this motherfucker can't. That's AI. That's what it is. He's a cyborg. I don't give a fuck like that. There's no way, you're too old.
Already.
You already got
Neuralink in him already, but they tested it out on him. That's why he got so many glitches.
Somebody back there with a joystick moving his ass around, like, come here. No, this way. Come over here.
But the men in black are back there. They calling the shots, man.
Okay, so
allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, we got to remember, we got to throw that heavy around, because there's a lot of sensitive folks out there. So allegedly, double down on that one time. But So okay, so who's the Republican? Who we got for the Republicans running, man? I want to know.
You got Trump, and then you got DeSantis, the governor of Florida. Who's been in a lot of controversial topics and issues as of recently. Policy he's passing in his state. He just announced his his announcement to go for election for presidency, and he tried to announce it via Twitter, and he's partnered with Elon Musk. So Elon Musk is pretty much endorsing him.
That's going to be the platform where you see the most of his shit. He's going to hit the most visibility on it and everything.
Oh yeah, so there's some powers to be if you got an Elon Musk sponsorship or endorsement. But see, the problem was when he announced it, Twitter crashed, so it fucked up. Like it wasn't even a proper announcement. Like he just got so much backlash from all the other media outlets. Like, how are you announcing your presidency? And then this, you have all these technical difficulties happening. And then at the same time,
they were cooking his ass, huh?
Trump drops a video on Twitter at the same time, making fun of that dude. And it's a lot. If you think shit's turning now, it's going to get worse getting close to November.
So, curiosity question. I did see that the governor of Florida announced right after he announced one of his laws about
one of his wild ass laws.
Wow.
Well, it's like I'm wilding out there. So that's why I'm like, I get it.
I do too, because there's some stuff that I don't agree with. There's some stuff I do agree with, and it's just
So I saw it right after he announced, they announced he just signed about rapists getting the death penalty or something.
Child rapists, I believe.
It was like right after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess so. One of the things I learned from when I was working in government is a lot of the times they are very much aware, like everything is just very calculated.
Mhm.
And because
sure.
everything is very calculated and everybody like who's going to run already know who's going to run, like the House of Representatives will have like sidebar conversations to figure out who's going to nominate who. Where I'm a little thrown off is I was under the impression that because Trump is currently going under like legalities, he couldn't run.
Well, I don't think that's the case. I think it's if he's convicted, he can't run because right now it's just no matter how much evidence they say they got or they whatever, he's innocent until proven guilty. And you do what I'm saying? Even though all of us don't get that, all of us don't get that right, but that's supposed to be a right of the United States as a citizen all across the board. Obviously, it's not as fair across the board, but that's neither here nor there. But the fact of the matter is, and if he does it right, he could push that shit as off as he needs to, waive that shit until he gets in office.
Yeah,
So
but even if he get in office, wouldn't he still? There's been to step down.
If you've been convicted, then you're probably going to get impeached. Yeah, but I mean, think of it like this. There's been presidents that have been sitting and got indicted. Not indicted, but have gotten, had charges and shit. You dig what I'm saying? So
And impeached, yeah.
And impeached, yeah.
But the charges currently against Donald Trump are not, even if he was convicted of these charges with Stormy Daniels, the hush money going through his attorney,
that's just like fraud shit, it's light shit.
It's pretty much a slap on the wrist, and it would not deter him from his candidacy to run for president. But what a lot of political commentators were saying about that in the state of New York is that if he was to be found guilty on the max term, then the state of New York could take him off the ballot. So they're kind of like, how would that work if he's the Republican front runner and you're running in all states in the United States except New York because of that law. So there's kind of like some big gray areas.
So that's a big market that he would be missing out on basically and potentially be able to handicap his turn, his run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would he even win it to begin with? Or who knows?
Yeah. But if them things come down to thousands of votes sometimes, I mean, shit, that could affect it because it's a blue state, but there's still a Republican.
Got a lot of influence in that state still.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and there's still a presence. It's not like there's no Republicans in that motherfucker. You feel what I'm saying? So, no, they be wilding. They're wilding out right now. It's like the slug is slugging it out. The only two I know about is because, like I said it earlier, man, it's just like fucking WWE to me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's scripted. They know like how you said, and they know exactly who the fuck was gonna jump up there and be like, I'm announcing my shit. I'm coming up. We know who's gonna get who we're gonna get behind, who we're not getting behind. Now it's just theatrics, to get the people foaming at the mouth. You know what I mean? Now they're gonna get everybody pumped up to want to, pick a side.
I was super surprised to see Elon Musk endorsing DeSantis. Like, where did this come from?
Well, he's been making comments though. You've heard some of the tweets that he's been making recently, like what's it called? Criticizing, like, not only he's criticized Trump already, but I'm saying criticizing the current administration right now too, and some of the things that when it comes to I forgot what it was, but he criticized something that was like totally not technology based. He's been a little vocal lately, you know what I mean? So.
The Twitter files, pretty much what happened there. The censorship with the last presidential election and the Hunter Biden laptop. Hunter Biden smoking crack on camera, child porn on his laptop, all that stuff. And that's election interference from last year. Supposedly that's what's coming out right now. And that's what's under investigation. So, yeah, man.
They're just getting messy right now.
Like a whole bunch of power players, moving, accordingly, especially what's happening in the future to come with the election. I was just it was interesting to see Elon.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely interesting. I don't really know who else is going to be running right now off the top of my head. I couldn't tell you because, to be honest, truth, it's going to be only them three right there that's going to be probably in the conversation. You know what I mean?
I like Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of Tulsi Gabbard. I don't even think she's Democrat no more. I think she turned to Republican.
That's the problem. But see, that's the problem. Look, and I'm gonna tell you right now, that's the problem. Hey, she's probably dope, and we should rally around her if she's doing the right shit. But think about it like this: I don't even know who the fuck that is.
Exactly,
and that's the problem. You do what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like you can't. And nowadays, with the way the political theater is and everything else, it's like you have to be. It's like a reality show. Like if you're not messy now, you're not getting the attention. You're not garnering the people's. You're not getting talked about, whether it's for better or worse, whatever the case is. You're not getting the clout because I think Obama started it because he was just like on some rock star. She was like a music, like for real, like he hit his campaign like a rock star. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then because they even said, and then Trump seen that and how he hit social media and all these outlets and all these different things that he utilized during his campaign to get elected, and they did that on steroids. You dig what I'm saying?
The election, he like a landslide. Both
That's
elections.
what I'm saying. Obama kind of like innovated that when it came to that, but then they took it and they just turned it into some more other shit. Now it's more like shenanigans now because, what else can you do? You dig what I'm saying? They're obviously not. I'm gonna tell you right now, if Trump was just, a businessman, didn't comment about certain shit or his personal opinion on certain stupid shit that he probably shouldn't be commenting about, and just kept the business and did his shit, kept the race and a lot of other shit out of it, he probably would have been more liked. He probably would have been more successful at the things he wanted to do and probably would have got reelected. But see, that's the thing. But see, at the same time, it's like it was also a lot of shit was over sensationalized, I guess you could say. So it got everybody even more riled up. And not it to the point where you put this dusty ass old motherfucker in the office and he really ain't doing shit.
They were trying to impeach him. They was trying to indict him. They was trying to say he was working with the Russians. They won during his presidency and pre his presidency before he won. So they just been hitting him with constant.
Oh yeah, they're on his ass. They're on his ass. I mean, and that's because he brought it on himself. You know how this shit goes. With these motherfuckers, you got to play ball, and he wasn't playing ball. So obviously whatever. But okay,
but I think a lot of that is because Trump. Most of the time, especially when you have the different caucuses, didn't Trump fund a lot of his own and got a lot of independent support? Mm-hmm. He wasn't like a Coca-Cola, a Pepsi, a Doritos, or a lot of the heavy hitters like Shells and stuff like that. He didn't have to fall in alignment with what it is that they wanted because a lot of his campaigning was funded privately and his own dollar. Yeah, for sure. So he already made a name for himself and he just kind of came out in heavy. He didn't have to listen to you. And a lot of people, if they didn't have to focus on the funding, because the biggest fear is they are going to take the funds out. So even though where I feel like a lot of people, how it could get sticky is I know when I was working in government, you have your campaign fund, which is 100% separate than what we're doing while we're in office. They are not supposed to intertwine, but unfortunately sometimes, depending on who you work for, they absolutely do. But with him, I mean, it was really kind of all one. His job was not anything in government, so he wasn't receiving government funds. He didn't have to worry about the degree.
He wasn't built into the system, so he wasn't relying on it. So
he was able to talk about whatever he wanted while campaigning, while in presidency, while just simply at work, going on stage to do anything else for anybody else. He was able to do that. Mm-hmm. So for him, it was just very different. It was actually kind of refreshing though, because I do feel like at the end of the day, when Trump came out, I didn't have to guess about how people felt about me. And Blaze, I say this about Californians all the time. Yeah. Are you from California?
Yeah, definitely. I'm from Cali.
Okay.
I'm from Cali.
You can't. First of all, you can't say all Californians though.
I didn't say all.
Are you saying for our Californians? I'm like, I'm one of them. So you're talking about some. Some
California.
Yeah.
Well, the West Coast personality trait is we live we're very we like to fluff and we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So instead of you just saying look, I don't like
direct.
You have a reason I don't like you. Whereas on the East Coast, they are much more just very direct and very blunt. We don't have to guess about how you feel about me. And the only refreshing part about having Donald Trump was I didn't have to guess how people felt about me. It didn't matter where I was in the country. Y'all was they were actually being honest. So it's like, oh, okay, well,
all the masks fell off. See, because that's the thing. My problem is that the way he would talk about certain things and that certain topics, what it was doing was it was empowering people and making people more have more courage to do racist shit. You do what I'm saying?
But people
that was
also
the
was
problem.
getting beat the fuck up too.
No, I like that too. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about that. But that was the problem, and I think that I seen with all that shit. If he would have just kept his mouth shut about how he felt about certain things, he could have just went in there and did his shit. But since he caught all that, he started off, with bullshit and continued with bullshit opinions on George Floyd and all this other stuff that he really didn't have to give. You dig what I'm saying? Like I'm sure he had to address it, but his personal shit, when he would say things that were like, it's like, come on, bro.
He white privilege at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and
so
he's always been like that. And at the same time, like, look what he did with the what was it, the Central Park Five. He was pretty much saying, give these kids the death
penalty. And they ended up all being innocent. Yeah. And so people forget also about that. People forget who they're dealing with and the tactics that are used, and that's why a lot of people were getting riled up. I didn't like it. I didn't like him, but I wasn't gonna fall out with my family over that shit. I wasn't gonna fall out with you know what I mean? Because a lot of people were doing silly shit like that. It's like, bro, your inner racist is starting to come out. It's starting to show.
But in all honesty, to be truthful, the only thing that Trump really showed us is that these are, like, unfortunately, the conversations that they're having at the dinner table.
Oh yeah,
this is what they are embedding in their children's head. So in order for us to be what's the word that I'm thinking of? In order for us to be proactive with how to address it, how to deal with it, we have to know that this is how you feel, right? So if you tell me this is how you feel, or you start doing stuff that's sketchy, then I know how to move around you. The problem before is that everything that they were doing was super backhanded. So it's like, it was so covered up that sometimes you wouldn't even catch it until after it was already done.
Well, even now,
I'm like,
or until they got caught.
I was seeing a lot on social media where people was also like, I am not my ancestors. I will get with you. And I was loving it. Like,
and see, and that's the thing. That's the example. And also, it's like, it's the way they do things, right? So, for instance, like, also, I know you guys seen that. We all know this. No matter who's the president, there's still police brutality, still people getting shot and killed, right? And the whole shit. The only difference now, it's been going on this whole time. It has never stopped since Trump has been in office. The only difference now is that if you guys pay attention, they're over sensationalizing it, is what I'm saying. Like, or they're overexposing it, a better word, so that now they could use those as points. Election year's coming. You're going to see a lot more of this shit. These mass shootings, they happen. You dig what I'm saying? Now, do they happen at this scale? No, because also when you create an environment like they're doing out of fear and everything else, you're going to get people that do psycho shit. You know what I'm saying? And some shit might be made to look like it was some psycho people, but it wasn't. And maybe it was planned. Either or. But the way things are going right now, it's a lot of bullshit everyone should get. Okay, so we're going to go around the table real quick before we jump into the next topic. Bundy, who you think is going to win? Not who you want to win the election. Who do you think is going to win the election?
I think Trump's going to win the election just because you got a lot of criticism against, Biden, everything happening right now. Everything that he's been doing, the legislation he's been trying to pass, and everybody, like, from the outside looking in, people see him as weak. He's showing weakness in public. He's old. Sure. It's like Dianne Feinstein, just like Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, they all gotta go, man.
You see these politicians, these old dinosaurs, and it's like, you guys are holding us down. And they
honestly feel like I'm sorry.
But Trump's old as fuck too, and you know what I'm saying. But there's a big difference between the two. And I think DeSantis, he's going to give Trump a little run for his money, but I think Trump is just going to overcome. I
think DeSantis might be too mainstream for a whole country to get behind. You feel what I'm saying?
I think there's too much
to get elected.
Recent controversy with DeSantis with his legislation and policy. But, Trump's the superstar. Like, he was the president, So
he's 1-1 right now, so he's gonna have to. Really, he's not gonna have to do much, bro. Because unless the Democrats really come up with a viable, charismatic, willing to talk that shit too a little bit, and have the funding, it's not gonna happen. It's gonna be one of these weirdos on. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be somebody weird in that motherfucker. It's already somebody weird in there now. I don't think it's ever stops being weird, but I'm just saying. That's just the term I'm using. And who you think's gonna win this election? We're gonna call it now, and then we'll come back to this when after the election. We'll do a recap. We're gonna start calling this shit like sports on God. Like this, that's the mentality we gotta have, bro. Like we're announcers. Like this is a fucking
the UFC, man. This is going toe to toe.
Yeah, not even that. This is WWE. We're the announcers, man. We know already what time it is too. We know this
That's
shit.
More
We're the WWE announcers. We're calling the show. Okay, so who do you think? Once again, Ann, I'm sorry.
So, unfortunately, I think that we live in an era of instant gratification, and we will forget a lot of the negative and try to focus on what can be misunderstood as positive. And I think where Trump is actually going to be able to move things in the forefront, like, yeah, the other dude, he talking shit too, whatever the case may be. But with Trump, not only does he have the white supremacists that's behind him, but also a lot of people, when they think of Trump, they think about all like that pandemic money without actually thinking about the fact that we had to pay the money back if you actually pay taxes.
Well, inflation, I'm sure.
Yeah, like our inflation went up, like fucking skyrocketed. Like, but for whatever reason, when I do talk to people, I hear them affiliating Trump with the money during the pandemic. And
of course, he was the savior.
Yeah, and now we have the on the news they were talking about there's some other COVID strain that's coming out, and it's already in China. Blah blah blah.
It's like I when it comes to COVID, it's like anything else. Show me.
Right.
Until that shit, until they locking shit down because the numbers are ridiculous in the hospital, then I'm gonna be like, all right, then. Because at the end of the day, they're trying to occupy fear into your body. They're trying to bring fear into your soul.
That didn't work for me because I was still at the club.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yep. It don't matter. I was outside. I'm all for the mask thing. No, don't get me wrong. No, I don't give a fuck. Like, if you don't want to wear one, that's fine. But I'm all for people if you want to wear a mask. Shit, I'm just not for a mandate. You feel me? If you want to wear a mask, I'm not gonna look at you crazy because sometimes I like to run around with my shiesty on, and just because it's you know what I mean, just because I don't want to have no small talk with nobody. I don't want to chit chat. You dig what I'm saying? So,
but listen, you all wear the mask, but I tell people all the time, like every day when you walk around, you wearing underwear and you're wearing pants, and a fart could get through that. What got you thinking that this mask is really gonna protect anything?
It did more harm than good.
Yeah.
So I do feel like, unfortunately, people like they
still
will
like to ride around with my shit,
quickly forget all the other shit, and they will vote Trump in because he will be able to use like how he saved them and how he was giving them so much money. And the sad part is what people don't understand is for the 4 years that you were in office, whatever happens, like what we're dealing with now with inflation is a direct result of him, but they're not associating the two. They're only associating the fact that during the time that we got the money, he was the person that was in office and businesses were really winning. And it was just like, so
he helped us and he saved us when all this shit happened. This, you know what I mean? This totally natural virus that evolved out of nowhere, right? You know what I mean? That just came from nature, right?
Bullshit.
We all call bullshit on
that. I do feel like Trump, unfortunately, may win. And now, to be 100% honest, I really wish, like somebody like a Kamala Harris or somebody will like pop out on the Democratic side and kind of like shock everybody and try to give him a run for his money. But I just don't see it happening.
She don't got it. She don't got the I'm sorry to say, she just don't got the charisma to captivate people. To captivate people.
That's why I said Tulsi Gabbard, because she was the one talking shit to Kamala during the debates.
Yeah, so
see, we need somebody.
I just said Kamala really because that's the only name that I know. Yeah, but if you can get someone who can truly get the backing of the women, the minority, and the LGBTQ community,
and blue
that would be like that would knock him out the water. The problem right now is I said Kamala because that's really the only name I can really remember.
But that's what we were saying.
All the other people, I kind of just they're not memorable for me, and that's an unfortunate.
And it's an unfortunate truth because of funding, you know, because at the end of the day, this is all a show. They're trying to get out there, trying to be seen, and they need that exposure like anything else. And when you're dealing with the machine and somebody that like Trump and all his private connections and people that had interest in him being in office, you know, funding what he does, it's difficult for these other people to really get a shoe in. There might be some people that are actually out there with good intentions and good heart and good character, or at least fucking common sense. Fuck the good heart shit, whatever. At least common sense. Like, what the fuck does the country really need? What does the people really need? What do we all need to be successful? Because it is possible. You know what I mean? So, all right.
What about you? Your prediction?
My prediction is chaos. Fucking comet's gonna hit us before all that shit happens, nigga. This is the greatest show in this galaxy right now. Aliens are literally sitting in their flying saucers, staring down and looking at us like a fucking reality show. They're like, these motherfuckers are crazy.
They got a kids Netflix show that is exactly what you just described right now.
I believe
it's the kid Netflix show.
It's a kid Netflix. I want to say it's called Aliens or something. Aliens, something like that. And it's pretty much aliens coming to Earth. They're visiting. They're exploring. But on the outside, they're pretty much filming it like it's a reality show. Like, this is what's going on at Earth. They do this. Look how they do that. Oh my God!
Look at these creatures, like how they used to do when they'd be out in the jungle and they'd see a tiger. You know what I mean? Yeah, they'd see the tiger and be like, "Look at the tiger." Well, yeah, they're watching it. They're observing us like animals.
Geo on Earth,
yeah, and they're observing us, and we're acting like fucking animals because that's probably they don't want to help us. They're like, hell no, I ain't gonna give this motherfucker none of this technology. Y'all motherfuckers are crazy. I don't know what y'all. I'll come back. This whole shit will be blown to pieces for you know what I mean. Right. So, anyways, we're gonna keep it moving. Then that's what we said. My prediction is my prediction I think is Trump's gonna win. To be honest with you, I think he's gonna win. It's just because he's been around. His fan base is a lot deeper. Although DeSantis is going to give him, I feel like, a run for his money as well. But I think he's just a little bit too extreme to be able to get enough of the whole country's votes. Because you got to think of it like this: he's going to be splitting between him and Trump. I think Trump is just, he's not going to get the full strength. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting. Stay tuned over here at WW. And I'm talking about
that show I was talking about is called Alien TV on Netflix.
Okay.
I just want to make sure to block it for my kids.
For sure. And see, and what I notice about kid shows on Netflix and other platforms is that a lot of them aren't even speaking English. Like, they're making certain sounds like and it's like, son, what are you learning from this? Like, like, what is this for?
This is just obviously
something a show that speaks English so you can learn new words or expand your vocabulary.
Yeah.
There's like,
it's like all sound effects. It's just like, you know what I mean? It does. Yeah. It's like, that's like junk food. You know what I mean? Like, what's its purpose?
Going on with that? What's that doing? But yeah.
Okay. Well, there
Alien
you have
TV.
it.
Netflix.
All right, I have to check that out. I'm gonna have to look because they stole my idea. They owe me a check. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to send a cease and desist because I've been saying that on this podcast for quite some time now. But no, that's really how I feel. Like they just watching us. They're like, y'all are stupid. Anyways, we're gonna keep it moving. The motherfucking chemical train that went missing from California. And we're not gonna get super deep on it. But now, how do you feel about that? What do you think?
So.
Break it down. Break the situation down for everybody.
I was going to say, can we get background? Because I really don't know about it.
So about 30,
I heard about it.
So about 30 tons of ammonium nitrate fertilizer is still missing after disappearing during a rail trip from Cheyenne, Wisconsin to California. So the rail train with 30 tons of this toxic chemical got to California, and when they opened up the rail car, it wasn't there.
And they said the whole car was
dripping
missing.
Out?
No. The whole car that was contained, it was missing, they said.
So all the containers, 30 tons worth, is missing right now. Still missing. And this was as of April 12th. They still can't find it. And then this is subsequently happening after, Palestine, Ohio incident. There's other incidences in Illinois and along the Appalachian on the East Coast, to where explosions have been happening on the rail system with toxic chemicals, and also toxic chemical plants, all happening, around major river systems coming toward from the Appalachian. So this is the first thing that we've seen kind of correlated with that on the West Coast. And that's
so it could be possibility for incidents like these to be happening here as well.
I mean,
so what is okay?
Yeah, that's kind of what the vibe I got.
What is it used for? Like creating
to create explosives. It is. It's the base. It's
Mm-hmm.
the base chemical that's used to create explosives. That's what they make like dynamite and fucking all kinds of other shit from. So you're talking about thousands of pounds of fucking straight up raw chemical to make that's highly combustible and explosive. That could be. And they, from what I heard on, and don't quote me on this, show, everybody go do the research. They said that the whole cart was missing. You know how they have cars on the train?
30 tons.
It wasn't like just they took the stuff out of the cart. They took the whole fucking cart.
So that means it had to have been taken before it made it to California?
Mm-hmm. If it ever even left with it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who double checked that it was actually like, was there a picture that it was even on there?
Who indeed? Who indeed? Oh, you know what? I want to change my background to is that meme from Kermit where he's like this. And he's just looking at you like, come on. He got his hands like this, like I know you're lying, but continue. You know what I'm saying? So you're right. In this situation right here, especially what's been going on over there, to me it sounds whoever's behind it, no matter who is behind it, it is terrorism. It's domestic terrorism because they're attacking infrastructure. They're also in attempts to release dangerous chemicals into our environment and thus poisoning us all.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
So these chemicals is used for fertilizer. So to fertilize industrial crops, eventually when it gets to the soil part, but before it's highly combustible, dangerous chemical.
Yeah. And that's a fertilizer basically is the base in a lot of different explosives. You dig what I'm saying? So, at any time, like I'm sure if you strapped something different explosive to the cart and blew it up, it would blow it all to shit. You dig what I'm saying? So very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. Quick opinion. And who do you think is behind this? Allegedly. Allegedly. I don't know. No, I don't know. Whoever. I know I've heard this stuff, but it's like I'm trying to figure out. To me, I don't know if you have any theories about it, but I'm trying to figure out. To me, like who would this be coming from? And who has? Because I mean, I don't know how much our own government, it would make sense for them to do that to its own people. Now, I could totally be wrong.
It does make sense to create the chaos so that one can go against the other. So like you were saying earlier, or was it one of y'all said it? I don't remember. I'm sorry which one. But when you said that you can create the chaos, you also can navigate the narrative.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And be the savior at the end of the day.
I just heard a podcast say you kill a story with a story.
So I have a theory.
When a story pops up negative about somebody, drop another story, which is a distraction, right? Go ahead. What's your theory?
So my theory or my opinion on it is, I mean, it's, it's out there, but, if you can't nuke us, then you got to destroy us from within. You have these possible, what it looks like attacks on our infrastructure with the railways and chemical plants in the Midwest, on the East Coast.
Like, spills that poison our fucking,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It could be straight. I mean, it's missing. Like, so it's being, they haven't found it. It could be used as, we don't know what the capability is if that was, the whole thing was used as an explosive. So if you can't nuke us directly, you can nuke us from within. And, if our infrastructure is being attacked, then, who's behind it? Right now, we're in hostile tensions with Russia and China, mostly China. And, and if we have people in corporate and in our political systems that are cooperating or doing business with China, or China has influence over them, and China's main goal is to pretty much, it looks like they want to take over the world, or they want this one world utopia, or be the examples of that, then, they consider us the enemy.
Yeah. Because of the way
could be possible.
Everything's built out here. Yeah. Most definitely. That shit's wild. I really don't got much input on that because I kind of said already how I feel about it. Like, I feel like it is, like I said, whoever's behind it, I feel like it's terrorism, obviously. And it's obviously meant to do a lot of everything we said. distract us. Not only distract us, but to tear us apart from within. If it's a foreign entity or whatever, a terrorist organization, whatever the case might be. So it's not good, it's not good for nobody,
Definitely
we just trying to connect the dots and inform the people, for those people out there that don't know, okay. So then we're going to go ahead and jump into the Target and the Dodgers and Bud Light as well. It's crazy. Man. They're wilding right now. People are wilding right now in general. It's a lot of weird shit, a lot of tension because of it. Go ahead and, what do you know about the situation, bro, with Target and what's going on with them? I'm sure people have heard, but what is your, from what you hear and what's your take on it?
I think it all kind of started before Bud Light. I know Hershey's around Women's Month. They had a trans person being represented on their chocolate bars and on their website and as their spokesperson for Women's Month. And I think that the boycotts kind of started with that. At least that's when I was aware of it. And then Bud Light kind of did the same thing. They had a trans woman on, I forgot the person's name, and they started boycotting Bud Light after that. So much.
They started being real vocal about it too.
They started being real vocal about it. And then, adding fuel to the fire, like boycotts worked with Hershey. So boycotts are now working with Bud Light, and they're down 30% of their sales. Like their market cap, but I mean, they're pretty much in a loss now. Their gains for this year turned into losses now. Mm-hmm. They've lost so much money. Yeah. And as of recently, within the week, you have Target advertising and putting out Pride, merchandise and clothing. They worked with a satanic, known Satanist designer who has clothing in Target. And they received so much backlash that they started taking everything off the shelf or moving some things just to the back. They took off a lot from the website and the app. And now they're calling boycotts to Target. And right now they're also calling these type of boycotts the Bud Light effect, just because of how damaging it was for Bud Light and what is still happening to Bud Light to this day.
Yeah, I think Adidas is going through it too, because they received backlash for putting, I believe, a trans man. I think that's the way you say it, but they put some man in a woman's swimsuit or something like that. And
North Face, they just did North Face too. They're on North Face's line right now as well.
To be honest, I just feel like. Okay, so I'll tell you, I personally have been boycotting Target. And it sucks because I love Target. I want to spend my money, but they got me fucked up. Now, I'm not 100% anti, listen, whoever you want to sleep with, that's your business. Straight, gay, up, down, left, right. I really don't care. I only care about how I monitor my pussy. I don't give a fuck about nobody else's. However, I was very, very bothered to walk in and in the kids section. So we all know I have children, and it's Pride Kids and Kids Do Pride. And as a parent, you can't tell me what it is that I should and should not tell my child. So I just feel like you're opening the door for putting children into adult spaces. So some of the stuff that would happen with
the little
be honest, the Hershey's
tuxedo and shit.
Huh?
You seen the little baby tuck thing where
that's what I'm saying. You're doing too much. Stop. At this point, I just feel like you are going too far. You are trying to I hate when I feel like you're trying to stuff something down my throat. You cannot make me like or dislike anything. And I'm not saying I have an opinion left or right. What I am saying is don't at least when I went in Target, it wasn't a small section. It was a big ass fucking banister. Naturally, any child that can read, and is super colorful naturally because the pride flag is. So all the kids stuff is so colorful. It is naturally going to attract the children. And it's almost, to me, it was equivalent to when, I'm not a smoker, right? Mm-hmm. But they used to have all these ad campaigns where you got a Black and Mild or a Swisher, and it's like grape flavor and bubblegum flavor and all these different things that are going to attract the children. Is like gummy flavor and all of that shit. That's what I was having an issue with. Like, why are you stuffing this down the children's throat? So when I walk in, it almost looked like you guys threw up Pride in the whole kid section. Not like a small section, but like big ass banisters, the hats, the jackets.
Like they overdid it for the kids more than anything.
Yes, and it was too much. I was like, what in the fuck? Then when the kids walk through and they asking me like, Mom, what's Pride? Listen, we're not going to have that discussion because you're too young. Like, it's not a conversation that I feel like you should be forcing parents to have with their children before that child is ready. Not every child is sexually active or understands sexual orientation or any of
a
those
lot of
things.
times they don't even understand themselves yet. You know what I mean? I'm a girl, I'm a boy. You feel what I'm saying? It's like they're still, they're still young. They're kids. That's not in their mind.
Their innocence.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's what they're trying to strip them of. They're stripping them of their innocence. And to me, by you forcing the conversation of Pride and forcing the conversation of like who loves who and who's having sex with who, you are opening the door for a whole bunch of bullshit and conversations that, again, when you go back to that talking East Coast and West Coast, my East Coast conversation about the shit will come in and people will feel like I'm being rude. When in all honesty, this is how I'm raising my children.
Yeah. And and it's not like you're not saying anything negative to anyone or about anyone. You're just saying like, yo, me personally, this is not, my problem is the same problem you have. I don't like anything that's addressed to the kids. Like, who, you are, and basically that's what it is. Who you choose to love. That's something. Okay, if the kids see you like that and they grow up in a house like that, they see that. That's what they know. Okay, it's not weird to them, right? And I'm not saying it's weird to anybody else, but those are conversations that you guys have within your own house. Like the conversations of my kids and what I'm ready to expose them to and not to is different. Like I'm not a big fan of having these kids on social media. I'm not a big fan of having them on a lot of this shit because it over sexualizes them. You dig what I'm saying? So anything that does that, no matter where it lands, is going to get opposition, and unfortunately they're mixing the two together. You dig what I'm saying? They could still have their Pride stuff. They could still have, all the conversations they need to with their kids, but not address it to the kids. Address it to the adults, the people that know this concept and understand what this is and understand who they are. Because you're not really fully grown yet. These are adult topics, or concepts for kids that you're trying to introduce. You dig what I'm saying? It's not for their brain or their mind yet. It's, like you said, their innocence. You dig? So that's where I have a problem with shit. Like, I don't have a problem with anybody living their life how they see fit, as long as you're not hurting nobody, yourself and anyone around you. Hey, do you? That's how I feel like. You dig what I'm saying? Or else I can't agree with it. But it just, when you push it on the kids, I mean, what you expect. And to be honest, this is all that's happening is what we've been trying to do, what they did with the bus boycotts during the civil rights era, is your money. Your money. Where you put your money is going to determine, what you have power as a consumer. The problem is that obviously because how things are going, we are separated. These whole the whole structure, the way it's set up, it's like these corporations need you to survive. They're best when you guys don't all get together and get along. You dig what I'm saying? Because that helps them, because they're going to continue keep you guys consuming, keep you doing what the fuck they need you to do so they can continue getting their money. You dig what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about it. Like I said, so when it comes to all this shit, it's just it's too much for me when it comes to that. It's two different things that should be kept apart, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And it just looks like grooming and programming, like
exactly,
making them come. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is normal. This is how. Well, man,
it goes in alignment with. Didn't Gavin Newsom? I have to do more research on it, but allegedly. I'm almost positive I was allegedly. He signed something where it was basically saying, like, at the age of 14, a girl or a person, girl or boy, can be in a relationship with somebody at least 10 years older than him.
No.
And I was like, so the way things happened for me was I just read like that little headline And then I walked into Target and then I saw that. And it was just like, what the fuck? Why are we encouraging all this shit? Because at the end of the day, all you doing is like you're perpetuating poverty, you perpetuating stupidity. Like people's bodies ain't even in a position. Like then y'all start talking about like the surgeries and changing people. And it's like, they're not even adult yet. Let them, like, for me, I know for my household, my kids all know it is my rules until you leave this motherfucker. Get the fuck out, pay some bills, do what you want to do. I promise I'll love you regardless. But while you in here, you have to follow the rules. And sometimes I feel like the way the corporations and the way government and everything else is, it's almost like you trying to give these kids all these rights, but you're not trying to give them the responsibilities that come with it.
Not only that, but they know, just like anybody else, they're the most vulnerable and the most impressionable. So if they allow them to do that, then they're more easily subject to manipulation. See, the parent's supposed to be the buffer, the front line between that. You dig what I'm saying? So if they could remove you out of that equation, then they're more susceptible, like you said. That's why I don't like that shit, like that funny shit. The same thing, I don't agree with that. You know, when they say your prefrontal cortex ain't even fully developed till you're like 25.
Exactly.
How the fuck are you making
you telling me that my child knows for a fact that they want to, like, no, I don't mean this in a rude way, but like, sometimes I think people, I won't say everybody, some people, you know, they feel like they know it upon birth, whatever. If that's how it happened for you, that's cool. Some people is using this just as a fad. It seems cool. Yeah. So I want to do it today. And then tomorrow, when this is cool, I want to do that. Or I want to get in the girl's bathroom, so I identify as a girl today. And now I'm a peeping Tom. Like, there's, like, come on, just like, listen.
It's just like anything else, to be honest with you. It's like anything else, shit gets co-opted. You got people that see something and they take advantage of it, and then they you know, with the power of a lot of shit, including social media and just everything, they co-opt a narrative and they spin it and do foul shit with it. It's just like anything else. You know what I mean? If it's popular at the time or whatever. I ain't got time playing with my kids neither. I feel you.
And that's what the algorithm is pumping out on TikTok. Like, that's the main thing that they're pushing out to the kids or in the younger age group in TikTok, is that's what they're promoting. If you're talking about this, if you're talking about things that are on corporate agenda or program, then that's what gets pushed out the most in the algorithms on social media outlets.
And so that's why I was so happy that they banned it.
Mostly kids.
But I don't have that issue because my kids are not allowed to do TikTok anymore.
And I'm not a fan of none of that until you get at least like shit. I don't know, until you, I feel like, to me, like, before, I think I let my son on too early, but he's okay. Like, I think for nowadays it was late, but, you know, I think I let him on too early, and my next go around for no, that's just not allowed.
Well, I can tell you now, I know shit on pause. Like, their 5-year-olds have phones, and their 5-year-olds know like these various TikTok dances, and it's no different than before. Like, your baby know all the rap songs, but your baby can't read. So I know for a fact people think that my kids are considered behind the curve because I don't play none of that, and I'm a hover mother. I'm going through your phone. I'm going through your backpack. There's no such thing as privacy until you start paying rent. So that's the rule. You pay rent, and you cannot pay rent.
Unfortunately, I don't care what people say, but you have to be on your kids like that, you know. And they got to show you. They got to show you though too, because if you give me a reason to be like this, I'm gonna be like this. You know what I mean? Show me that you're trustworthy. Show me that, you know what I mean. And
they sneaky. Kids are naturally sneaky, and they're curious.
But it also starts with us, though, how the game, though, and the way we talk to them, what we teach them, you know, how to be that awareness and be aware of your surroundings and your actions and a lot of shit. If you're aware of what the fuck you're doing and how you moving, it's you know, it's something that could save their life. You know what I'm saying? So I always tell that's one thing. It's like we got to teach our kids, and then, you know, we call it common sense. You know, not to let no one take advantage of you. Don't be taking advantage of people either. How to understand when somebody's taking advantage of you. How to understand when shit ain't right and how to call it. You dig what I'm saying? So they you know, things like you know, I'm type of person to let them be kids. But as they get older, they start moving to teenage years. You got to start having those teenage talks, and it ain't just about like the birds and the bees and shit. You feel me? You got to talk to them about, you know, how people operate. You know, certain scenarios, and if you're walking home, what you got to do, and you know the shit that they done forgot. I feel like they don't teach enough in school anymore. Remember when we were younger, it was like watch out, stranger danger, and all the other shit. Remember, they don't. I feel like they don't do that shit no more.
Now, do you realize? Have you ever thought about the fact that growing up, we learned about stranger danger, right? No, we shouldn't trust people. People are crazy. They're weird. But every time you turn around, people are putting their kids in private spaces with strangers. Everybody is jumping in a Lyft or an Uber. Everybody is doing DoorDash, so anybody can come to your house with some food. You don't know who this person is.
And even just social media. Everybody's posting in front of their house. And
yeah, they posting their
cars,
address. They posting which park they at. Like, you putting everybody in your business. And I personally, I had to learn myself that I was living in like a la la land. I was living in like a bubble of ain't nobody gonna do nothing to me. I don't even do bad to people. So why would anybody want to do something bad to me? Yeah. It wasn't until I started running into scenarios and I'm like, wait, hold on, wait, pause. I did not take my own lessons. So
yeah. We got to be very conscious of that nowadays, with all the information that's out there and what you got to be very conscious of what you put into your body and what you observe and what you give your attention focus to. And you also got to be very conscious of what you put out there. That's why I tell people, I was like, don't be on these social media, it's hella personal, telling all your fucking business, talking shit about your boo, and then you guys are together the next week. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Keep that shit to yourself.
Don't be judging me.
No, I'm just saying, like, no, it's different. It's different.
I ain't got nobody.
I ain't mad at memes. I ain't mad at memes and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? But when you get on there and you actually take time on Facebook or Twitter to type some long shit out, and it's like, bro, nobody wants to hear that shit. All you're doing is being too exposed. All you're doing is being too exposed. Then people are on your business, and then you wonder why fucking more drama you attract because you're putting it out there. So it's gonna come find you. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of social media for the youth and stuff like that. I feel like
all I say about that is you got to be that positive influence. Don't let an algorithm influence your kids.
Facts. You got to have more of a presence. If you're at the end of the day, that all kids reach that level where they're like, okay, my mom ain't as cool, my dad ain't as cool. Like, he ain't the superhero. I don't look at him the same now. He's like my dad. I love him, but he's, what I mean. That little mystique might rub off because they're getting off into their own. But we got to be that. We got those shoes to fill. We got to be their superheroes until they understand the world, until they're grown enough to be able to, or we feel like they're able to go out there and fend for themselves. We got to give them the tools, because if not, you see how all this shit is, man. Especially with the kids, they starting earlier and earlier now with the attacks on them. Nothing whatsoever against anyone, how they live their lifestyle or who they are. Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, for me, the kids, those are conversations we don't even have regular. Like, straight people don't be talking to their kids about sex and this and all this other shit and tuck your nuts and all this. Like, come on, it's like, you know what I mean? It's just, it's crazy. You know what I mean? So let the kids be kids is my thing. That's all I'm saying. I'm not judging nobody, like I said, for nothing. But when it comes to these kids, you gotta let them be kids first, man, before they can start thinking and feeling how they feel. That shit has to happen naturally. It can't be like forced on them.
Right.
Even us as parents, like, I hate when people want their kids to be just like them, and then they're actually really negative or live a negative, like, have a negative example. And, I don't like that shit. It's like, bro, give your kids a chance. If you ain't shit, that's cool. You know what I mean? I get it. But give your kids a chance to be better, straight up. So it is what it is. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to talk about that new pick, that new UFO pick. And I'll be feeling like these UFO picks, right, are being more and more introduced. So I'm like really convinced about my theory of what I said earlier. But Bundy talked to me about this new UFO pic that just popped up in California, by the way. And what's up? Talk to me.
Yeah, it was over a military base. So it's an actual video, and I think it's from 2021 from what I read, but it just leaked right now, and it's a UFO shape of a triangle with the lights hovering around a military base in California. And when they shot flares at it, and then it disappeared like really quick, like it either
some sort of
gravity
defying type motion,
speed of light, Mach whatever, and it got up out of there. But it was hovering around and it was floating around the military base, and that video just leaked as of recently.
Okay, and you had something real quick you were saying?
I was just gonna say I am so sorry, but I have to 2 fingers up because I just realized the time.
Okay, no worries.
But it was very nice meeting you, buddy.
And nice meeting you too. I'm sure we'll be here again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
I
and I ain't gonna lie to you,
Yeah.
Ann. Your
But-
insight was really dope on this because I know what you've been
For
doing and
real.
stuff. And yes, for anybody out there that don't know, Ann know what she talking about. You know what I'm saying? In case that's why they call it the best kept secret. I appreciate you though, Ann. So we'll tap in with you later on in the week. You know?
All right. See y'all
Have a
later.
great holiday
Bye.
weekend.
Yep. All right. Okay, so we're gonna keep it rolling, you know, and yeah, man. We were just talking about the UFO pick. Okay, so look, I'm gonna run some shit by you, right? And this is just me thinking out loud. It's not like Okay, first of all, the UFO. It's an old picture. I want to know what your opinion is on why we're seeing so many pictures leak now, and I'm not even gonna question whether they're valid or not because it don't matter. The lie is more appealing, right? So. People would rather, if it is fake and it's doctored up or whatever, I mean, then people will probably never know. But what do you think? Why is the reason why we're seeing so many of these leak now?
I think, it's not just us. It's, other foreign powers. We're experimenting with technology. We're trying to find the next best thing. Everybody's trying to find the next best thing militarily because the United States has the strongest and most funded military technology and force in the whole world. So whether it's other forces or it could be ourselves testing our own shit. Like we've been known, about UFOs and extraterrestrials. We have, Area 51. We have alien crash landing in New Mexico, Roswell. They just came out with the aliens crashing in Brazil. I don't know if you up on game on that one. I know Joe Rogan just had a guest on there who actually did all the research since 1963 or 1965.
Yeah,
and got witness testimonies.
And they said that they crash landed, but they were alive, right? I think I have heard about it or something.
They were alive. They took it to the hospital. They did X-rays, and they tried to hush up all the witnesses that were in, the
involved around the area,
town. Yeah. And it was not the Brazilians; it was the U.S. government involved in the hush cover up.
Oh shit!
U.S. came in, flew in, took it.
Like no.
Like shut the fuck up. Yep. This never happened. And so that's been happening, but it's been all covered up. The Pentagon releases all this, documents talking about UFO sightings, UFO this, UFO that. There's a lot of it redacted, so we can't really see to the furthest extent. But they're releasing this stuff, and just from the last 10 years, like people or a theory is that they are grooming us for an alien invasion or a fake alien invasion just so they could, globalize and one world order, whatever, what have you. And that's a way that they could shift and reset civilization.
Yeah.
Whether aliens are true or not. So.
Yeah, whether aliens are true. And then look, for all those people out there that before they start throwing a certain word around, I want you guys to understand something, that this actual theory, we're gonna say, since whatever this theory that it is, was actually true, and they have uncovered papers when they were talking about this type of stuff. You know what I mean? Where they said that they would use something like this, as a way to manipulate, like you said, and reset and change how government works and operates, and even society in general.
Well, so there's been groups mobilizing since the 60s and the 70s to push the government to release all these classified information. And the government has been losing in court slowly. They slow play the court and the people, just like they always do. And every little inch by inch, they'll release a little bit of information, declassify some information. And, just as of recently, the Pentagon did release a good amount. Things were still redacted. So, there's still information out there, and there's information that we have more access to. So it's more of a relevant topic.
Okay, so two scenarios. One, there is aliens and they're out there. What do you think they are doing here? You know what I mean? What do you think? We're gonna explore both sides. So we're gonna start off with that. The aliens exist. They're obviously being seen a lot more. The government is obviously allowing a lot more sightings and confirming. Maybe not UFO life, but unidentified crafts and whatnot. So what do they want with us?
Well, the cat's always been out the bag. Like the government's just going to be like, no, it's not. But we know, we see evidence, we have facts, we have independent reporting. We got people doing their job on the ground, getting in trouble by the government.
A lot of evidence that they, that you can't see, and ancient stuff, that they don't. Yeah,
for sure. And the scientific community has been covering this up for hundreds of years to cover up what the technology and the civilizations that we had thousands of years ago, over 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, because what is it? The popular theory is that it was only like civilization, whatever, like how it is.
2,000 years.
A few thousand, like 3 or something like that, right? 3,000 years or some crazy shit.
There's so much evidence now that's coming out, especially because of Netflix, Ancient Apocalypse. Definitely.
It's just a lot of people on the ground, like you said, doing the research and actually going to these sites and uncovering and discovering shit
that have been pretty much ridiculed their whole career, and then now they get some funding, they get some spotlight, and then they're making discoveries that there was humans over 10,000 years ago in all places of the world.
Correct.
So with that being said, there's strong factual evidence that aliens do exist. What are they doing here? What do they want? Is it just a big soap opera for them? Alien TV and whatnot. But I think, it's got to be a reflection of what we're going through today. So, we are a reflection of our oppressors, first and foremost. So whether you're being oppressed on a small or a bigger scale, right now you have more poor people. The middle class is shrinking. We're pretty much at a stage to where we've been oppressed. And capitalism has been oppressing us for a long time now. So, who are the elites? Who's oppressing them? Who's making them do stuff? Is it higher powers such as extraterrestrials with greater technology? And, they want something from this planet. What is it? Is it gold? Is it natural resources? Are they using the human race as a slave race to harvest it for them? Is that the trade-off? What's going on, what the theories are, or one of the theories is that, we were made to be a slave race, to harvest natural minerals coming from this earth because it's rich in minerals that they possibly want. So the trade-off is that we do that. We get technology. Some people get status to control the rest of the slaves or workers. And the cycle just goes on like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I would believe that over a lot of different theories, just because we see that in society and civilization now. Yeah. It may not be slaves and masters, but it's
definitely oppressive.
It's definitely oppressive. And if you take a step back and broaden your scope on what's, happening, especially with capitalism and even communism, it's, the same infrastructure. It's the same process and plans when it comes to people in power, people maintaining power and
the power structure, and how everything is set up.
Well, that's my take.
No, I mean, and I agree because, like, I agree the same thing. Like, so if it is, some sort of alien, well, if it is what we think it is, and there's aliens, they exist, and they either have a relationship with higher powers or, like you said, are oppressing, it only makes sense because, like you said, we are a product of our oppressors, and all the chaos and all the bullshit that they sit back and allow, to happen. Not to say that if they could create us and make us, they could come down and be like, yo, we're going to put y'all back how you're supposed to be. We're going to give y'all the light to make y'all a better civilization, period. Nah, we're obviously operating how they want us to operate, so I don't feel like they have good intentions for us if they're out here, you dig? And I don't feel like it's only just one kind. I feel like there's various races of aliens that visit our planet. And I feel like, they don't all have the same view or agenda. It just so happens that maybe the power structure on this planet, maybe they got here first, are the ones that's currently have the most say so in what goes on out here, you dig? So that's how I feel personally. I feel like there's no way, if we're talking about all these things to be true, the universe, the solar system, how they got this telescopes and all these pictures now that show other galaxies and universes, and it's just, there's no way that we're the only ones. You have to be really
infinite amount.
Yeah, like we can't even count it.
Exactly. And you know what I see as, especially during current times, especially with technology, I see the equalizer that could actually, be to make us almost eye to eye with them is artificial intelligence. And now they're calling it general artificial intelligence, or artificial general intelligence, which is stronger, which you're feeding the AI all this data. That's what Meta's doing. They're taking all their user data. They're feeding an AI or an algorithm somewhere. And
that makes sense, because all you negative motherfuckers on Facebook is making AI fucking negative and shit. That's crazy.
So AI is learning. They see this. They see how the human race is, or, what is going on, what
a picture of it.
Us. But, now AI is becoming sentient and becoming strategic. That's why they're calling it general artificial intelligence now. So if anybody has these capabilities, military wise, as an example, they run through so many scenarios. It's like the Game Shark back in the day with the Game Boy and the Nintendo 64. You plug it in, you're automatically going to win. Boom, game over. So if you were to put that in simulation between the human race versus their oppressors or another alien race, the AI is going to tell you what to do, and hopefully be strong enough for you to be, for the human race or whatever faction has control of this, successful against a foreign invader from another planet or galaxy or what have you.
Either that or AI is going to turn against us too.
Or that, because there's no regulation. They don't have hardly any regulation against AI technology, the development, the experiments that they're doing. They're developing AI so
it's
rapidly.
The Wild West with that right now.
And it's using American user data and stolen American technology. Now, our government has an AI too, but it's like, they're so hush hush and they keep that so hidden. Like, we don't know what their capabilities really are.
I think that's their part of the defense.
Yeah.
You don't know what the fuck. You don't know how crazy, huh? It's like,
yeah.
You feel me? But
we could, Biden could have a Neuralink in his head and it's AI controlling him and controlling this. And
it's Mr. Burns. He's Mr. Burns for reals in real life. Okay, so now scenario: if aliens are not real and this is all a hoax, what would be the purpose of this hoax? You feel?
Control. If they're going to stage alien, like I said, if they're going to stage a fake alien invasion, or aliens are fake and they're trying to unite the world globally, then then they win. Everything's under one elitist rule. Everything's under one world order. Everything's under one world currency. They got control over everything all over the world. And then that's the end game. The only people that are winning at that are the ones at the top. Everybody at the bottom is pretty much under one thumb.
Allegedly. Cap that the last 15 minutes with that allegedly. That applies to all that.
Everything is alleged.
But what's it called? Yeah. When it comes to if it is a hoax, that is definitely a form of control. I agree with you, but then at the same time, it's like, what are they waiting for? And because I do feel like I'm really leaning towards there is. To me, it makes more sense that there is life in the technology that they're getting and stuff like that. I do know also that they spoon feed us technology. The shit that we get end up being in our phones and on our computers and all that is, their shit is probably light years away from that, what they have really in control and possession of. We only
but
get...
That's capitalism. You're going to give you the best thing. You're going to get version 1.
I'm going to break it down and go gram for gram on your ass. Like,
Exactly. Man. We the product of our oppressors. And they know what the fuck is up, especially if they're fucking capitalist elitists. Who do they learn that from? Yeah. They got to learn it from somebody that's super smarter and super better than them, whether as a race or a person or as an individual. So
and how did they learn about these forms of control? You dig what I'm saying? So
yeah, and then you know what? Even back to our ancestors too, like the feather serpent, Quetzalcoatl. Like he was known for wisdom. He came to the Mayans, or he came to the Mayans on a boat with all this knowledge, and he was telling races on our race like what to do. This is how
survive.
This is how you survive.
Agriculture,
astronomy. But see, that's just the Mayans and the Aztec weren't the only ones that wrote about that. The Mesopotamians wrote about the one person that had all the knowledge and was showing them how to do this. Ancient civilizations in Asia, other parts of Europe have that one person, traveling person, telling them how to do stuff. We have a savior, you know, in Christianity and Catholicism and even, you know, Islam, they got that one savior person, you know, the prophet or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
and see, that's my problem with, you know, now that all the proof that's coming out that society is much older and stuff like that. That's my problem. What I have with mainstream religion is that it's definitely a watered down version of what it really was, in my opinion.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And
for sure.
Because it's super watered down like that, like you only got what they want you to get. Like history is told by the victors. You dig what I'm saying? And who won from Jesus? Jesus didn't win. I mean, he won in a different sense, but like as far as the earthly sense, he didn't win that battle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Look at how Earth is now compared to, you know, whatever. So, okay, yeah, and then so I don't know, but if we're talking about them not being real, then I feel like it's the same thing. It's control. I really feel like, and I wanted to bring this up to you too as well, because this kind of relates to this topic. The so-called like, why do you think that these elites and these big corporations and all these motherfuckers just have no regard as far as like how they live life on Earth and how they treat it like, you know, it's expendable, you know, just the shit that you think it wouldn't make sense, right? Like just for an everyday, just functionality. Like if you want to be rich and you want to be on this planet forever, you think you would do the things enough to keep at least from fucking it up, right?
Yeah.
Or from poisoning and being destructive and whatnot. So, you know, since obviously that's not the mode, what do you think, why do you think they do that? First of all, why do you think it's like, do you think that what I'm trying to, I guess, allude to is, do you think that they know the truth about how this earth actually works and functions? And,
for sure.
And they just gonna run it up because they know they can't stop it?
They just going to run it up. They're building as much wealth as they can because that's what the name of the game is to build as much wealth as possible. They're psychotic, they're sociopaths, they're narcissists. Like, you know, they're the victims of their oppressors. So their oppressors must be the same. And it's just a trickle down effect. And, you know, who gets the shit end of the stick is the poor, the slaves. So, you know, it's all part of the game. And even if, you know, they run it up on Earth, or the world as much as they can, the world is just going to reset. The earth is just going to reset, whether it's you're damaging the earth, whether you're damaging the people and create nuclear war or what have you, that, you know, just ends life again. They're just going to run to their doomsday bunkers, and the government has their own doomsday bunkers. And then as soon as everything just clears out, because everybody has time. And it's like, okay, well, if you have the technology to come back, bring yourself back from the dead or what have you, or you got Neuralinks to where you could put it in another host and you're there.
Your consciousness.
You're 2,000 years old, and then you get put into a new host and like, hey, I'm here now.
Dude, imagine the the ridiculousness of that. So
the world is expendable. The people have always been expendable. You know, that's the thing. Like, they're going to run it up as fast as they can, as much as they can.
That's the point I was trying to make, because they're saying, like how we said, you know, they're saying that our civilization is only like 3,000 years old. The man as formed as we know it, as far as, you know, our version of man, you know, whatever, you know, we were at, you know, before we were Neanderthals and all that other shit, right? But they're saying that, you know, because now the evidence is starting to show that it is a lot older. You know, civilization is a lot older. Our humanity on Earth, you know, in this form is a lot older than they're saying. I mean, Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's evidence, and I watch a lot of different shit, and and I look into a lot of different subjects, and then they're saying that that the world eventually will reset its own self. It'll heal, like, because like what I've been saying, I was like, yo, as humans, we're like a virus on this earth, we're just plaguing the earth, and eventually, the earth caught the clap. You know what I'm saying? It got the itch right now, and it's about to. At one point in history, it gave it the medicine. You feel me? And almost wiped it out, and it wiped out the dinosaurs. From what they're saying. So, yeah, I don't doubt that, and I don't doubt the same thing. They know the reason why this shit don't make no sense, and why some shit is just irrational as hell. Other than greed, because greed makes sense. Like it don't make sense, but it makes sense. At least you know what their motive is. It's like, okay, I know you're just greedy bastards. You're running it up because you want to be in power and stay in power, and you want to make sure no one else but you and your family and who you want to be in power is in power, right? But
and then the earth is gonna replenish its minerals and its resources over thousands and billions and millions of years
because it's a living thing.
It's a living thing. And a good piece of evidence that I like, that what I've seen recently about the reset, not only the earth resetting, but also civilization resetting in the same places, is if you do watch Ancient Apocalypse, whether it's in Mexico, whether it's in Mesopotamia, in Asia, you have pyramids on top of pyramids on top of pyramids. So you have these older pyramids from 13,000 years ago, and then you have them from 10, and then you have them from 7, and then you got them for 3,000 years ago. Yeah. So what happened to those older civilizations? Why did they build on top? If it wasn't resetting, if it wasn't starting over, on top of another foundation. Like
the same thing with the Egyptians, right? The same thing with the Egyptians. They were saying, they're like, yo, the Egyptians that we know how we're saying, they're saying now that they didn't probably build the pyramids at all. Like the pyramids were a remnant from versions before the Egyptians, exactly.
The Sphinx is older than the pyramids.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, because we all thought this whole time the narrative is like, oh, the Egyptians built all this shit
in their era, in that era of time. There's a lot of evidence, and that's the thing that why I asked you is like, could it be the reason why they're doing this is because they know of when and how the world is going to end, because obviously they had access to these, a lot of these ancient manuscripts and a lot of ancient stuff, because a lot of stuff is mentioned in history throughout history that was undeniable. Like, there's no way that, like, Atlantis, for instance, that people were like, oh, that's a myth. It is no, it's starting to figure out that no, that it really wasn't. It's a possibility that, and they've even showed the crater where it was at and shit like that.
The Eye of the Sahara.
Yeah. So, not to get too, far into that, but that's how I feel. I really honestly feel that they, are, they know that, and because of that, they're going to remain in power so they can live how they want to live and do what they got to do. And obviously keep us, working worker bees for them and whatever they do. There's countless, there's countless, forms of different types of shit. I guess you could say different types of oppression. And we see it all through the different levels of society and whatnot. So, I really feel like they know what time it is, and that's what it is. They're not going to tell everybody, because then they lose a lot of their power. Just like everything else. It's like what you don't know.
Just like how you were saying.
And what you don't know gives me power. What I know and what you don't know, it gives me a ton of power. And that's how they operate. They're like, yo, since we know this shit, we know how things really function. By keeping you not knowing and guessing and wondering. It gives us leverage. So.
I seen there was a quote I liked. I don't know. Do you watch Succession on HBO?
I don't. I've been told to watch it though. It's good.
Watch it. So recently, there's a character on there describing information, and he said information is like a rare bottle of wine. You hold on to it. You keep it safe and tucked until it's that appropriate time to open it.
Mm-hmm. Real shit. That's fire. I like that.
Yeah.
And it's the truth. It's true. You got for everybody out there, people, and one of the things that I learned young and I was told is you got to learn the toughest thing you're going to have to figure out is to know the time when to be quiet and the time when to speak up. You know, and sometimes it's not always gonna be easy, is what he was basically saying. You know, that's but once you figure that out, you're gonna be all right. You know, so yeah, it's kind of wild. This shit that it gets deep, bro. We could have a whole fucking podcast just on that topic alone. You dig what I'm saying?
We've been going for a minute.
Yeah, we have been going for a minute. So, you know what I mean? I ain't even gonna hold you. I know you got shit to do. Let's go ahead and just put a button on that. We got some other things we left on the table, but it might be a reality coming real soon where you guys might see us dropping a more consistent content, really revolving around topics and subject matter of this sort. It's definitely something that we like to look into. We just like information, you know what I mean? Don't label us anything, because all we're looking for is the information, and we're open to all types of possibilities. And that doesn't mean that the difference between us and a lot of people is that we could take information and not run to the hills and start acting a fucking ass and start trying to do wild shit and beefing with your family over it and shit like that. You know what I mean? So that's
it's a healthy discussion. You know, awareness purposes, you know, we could debate, and it's, you know, I feel like, you know, you don't see, all you see is propaganda pretty much on mainstream networks. Let's just
facts. They're working for somebody.
And then the only, you know, the reason why I know all this information is off of independent journalism and a bunch of independent, you know, news. And that's where you're going to see both sides. And it's, you know, I feel like, you know, for awareness purposes, people like us, people from, you know, where we're from, in our communities, you know, we just see what's on the TV. We're not really aware, or like, you know,
we don't ask as many questions as we should, especially when a lot of this shit, we're the end of it. We're the direct, we see the effects of a lot of the stuff that affects us, and we don't question it a lot. And going back to the discussion, like I said, when the people that are against these campaigns and these companies and their brands, they're doing what everybody should do if they do not agree with a certain brand's policies, which is don't spend your money with them. You know, don't spend your money with them. I mean, if you feel the need to call them out, call them out. You know, but don't spend your bread with them. It hurts them more than calling them out. And we're seeing the direct effect of that right now. So that's just something just like anything else. Yeah, that's crazy, bro. It's crazy, man. It's dope conversation though. Where can they find you, bro? How can they get in contact with you? You know what I'm saying? Let's kick it off with that.
Yeah, for sure. Need my lawyer _ spelled out. And then, you know, got dope flavors going on, _D_ flavors. Delivery, if you in the 925 Bay Area now too, you got dopeflavorsdelivery.com. If you like the merch, we got the Hunter camo with the orange puff 3D puff thing, dopeflavorstore.com. In the 925 or Bay Area, we got a summer bash coming. We got a summer party coming in July. Stay tuned for that. We're gonna drop that information. We need all our folks coming, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's what it is. We got coming soon. So with that being said, this is the Knowing About Podcast, episode 133. We're moving, shaking. You can find us on Instagram at @no_invite_podcast. You could also go to our YouTube channel. That's RiBirth Media Films, RiBirth Media Films with a Z. Check us out there. If you want to slander us, give us your opinion, whatever the case is. We welcome all forms of communication, because we have interns that will argue with you in the comments and get real petty with you if need be. You know, they got time for that shit. Trust me. So with that being said, bro, thank you once again for being on the episode with us. You know already we're going to talk about more and giving people a more direct or a consistent, you know, outlet. So, or platform on these type of subjects. So we'll be talking about that. And of course, we're going to drop it on the podcast once we figure it all out. With that being said, bro, appreciate you, man. And we are out.
For sure.